Hey guys, Rick with Rick's Toy Room, and today we are doing another Collecting 101 video. This time is how to resell your product. So whether it is that you are trying to recoup some of the money because you've amassed a huge collection at this point, maybe you've bought a lot of doubles or found some good rare items and now you want to flip those to help offset your cost, or maybe you've gotten so many now that you want to do your part-time business or even full-time business reselling collectibles. I want to go through and talk about how you actually do that. Now, because I find this topic quite important, I'm going to just run this video. I will cut it if I need to make the time, but I want to make sure that I cover some really important aspects of reselling your collectibles. So let's get into it. First and foremost is to think about the type of collectible that you're selling. Know that you can collect. We've already talked about what you can collect. There's no right way or wrong way to collect. But what are you selling? And that's going to help determine where you sell to. For instance, if you're doing mass released retail product like the Hot Wheels, the G.I. Joes, the Star Wars, the Funkos, stuff like that, you're going to want to stay away from a platform that is based on artwork, handcrafted materials, etc. Now, if you are doing artwork, handcrafted materials, there's nothing wrong with that. Just know that your marketplace is going to be a little bit different. Personally, if you're going to do artwork, whether it's 3D renders or hand-drawn that you want to sell prints for, use a place like DeviantArt. If you are going to do handcrafted, customized like Starbucks cups or different types of, again, crafts, arts, stuff that you handmade, use a place like Etsy where that is a niche crowd that is more, I want to say, dedicated for and has the clientele that are looking for those type of products. Something that you hand make or hand draw is going to be a lot harder to sell on your mainstream platforms like eBay or Mercari, because they're going to get lost in the things that people have bought and are trying to flip, resell, etc. Right? So keep that in mind. For this video, obviously, because we are a collector Facebook and YouTube channel, we are going to focus on collectibles. So Hot Wheels, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Funko, baseball cards, comic books, all that fun stuff. With that idea and that category kind of locked in, let's talk about where you can resell your product. Now, online resale is going to give you the largest marketplace ever. It's going to allow you to reach all the way around the world. It's going to let you reach to collectors that have that very specific genre of item that you're selling, and it's going to give you the biggest bang for your proverbial buck. However, it is going to cost you. So places like eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, Whatnot, Letgo, all of these places have online presence where you can sell your collectibles, but they all are going to charge you fees. Things like alternate Facebook methods we'll talk about in a whole separate video, but there are ways to get around some of these fees, but realize by doing so, you put yourself at risk. And then my favorite way to sell collectibles is at a toy show, signing up to have a dealer table or to do a trade show, maybe a swap meet. Kokomo Toys in Kokomo, Indiana does an amazing G.I. Joe swap meet every single year. If you've never been there, quick shout out to those guys. I love the dudes at Kokomo. Go see them. It's worth the pilgrimage. But swap meets in live, that's the way I love to sell. It allows me to cut out the middleman prices. I can meet my collectors. We can haggle on prices. We can trade. Like, there's all kinds of things to do. And obviously, I have kind of that mentality that I love to talk. So being able to do it live and with you is my preferred method. But when you can't do that, or you're too shy to do that, you don't want to do that, you don't like people, then let's talk about online. So I want to go through each of the different platforms that I talked about. And I want to talk about their pros, their cons, why you would choose one over the other, some of their fees. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you my personal choice based on a few factors. So I'm going to start with the biggest, work my way down. And I might sidetrack a little bit. You've seen my videos before, but I will try to stay on topic as best as possible. All right, so let's talk about the biggest of the biggest online marketplace. That's eBay. eBay's been around since 1997, 98. They started with Pez collecting. So the guy that created eBay, he wanted a way for his wife to be able to resell, swap, and trade Pez dispensers, little candy dispensers. That turned out to be a huge success, and it is now today the world's largest online marketplace next to Amazon. And I did forget Amazon is a marketplace. I don't really deal with them, but we'll talk about that. So, eBay. Pros and cons of selling on eBay. The pro is, again, eBay is one of the largest person-to-person marketplaces that exist. It just is. They offer because of their size, they can offer you a lot of benefits as a seller. Some of your benefits are you have seller protection. So if your buyer complains about your product, it didn't mean, it didn't meet up to their standards. Depending on how you listed it, you can be protected, and eBay will step in and tell them tough. Or if something got damaged in shipping that really wasn't your fault, eBay will eat the cost of it. They can afford to do that. They offer buyer protection, so if something's wrong the buyer side, they can get squared up. They offer an international shipping program, so they have, I think about 5 years ago now, had started handling all international shipping and documentation. You send it to their warehouse in Kentucky, they take your product, they do all the customs forms, they charge the buyer the custom shipping, all that jazz. They send it out to the buyer, they deal with it, it's out of your hands. It is the best way to sell international overseas, which opens you up exponentially when it comes to your buyers, especially when it comes to certain U.S. exclusive product like San Diego Comic-Con, stuff like that. Now, what are the cons to eBay? Because of all these things that eBay does for you, they are the most expensive marketplace. They have found a way to charge you for every single feature. So, what does that mean? On an average, if you did an auction, eBay is going to charge you 12.9% of the total for that sale. So that means the cost of the item, that the ending cost, whatever the highest bid was, the shipping cost, sales tax to that person's location, their final value fee, and then they charge you their 13%. It's actually flipped. They charge you 13%, 12.9 on the final item's cost, the item's final bid, its sales tax, its shipping fee. They charge 12.9% there. When that fee is calculated, they throw in their 30-cent final value fee. They got to get their cut. So, for instance, an item that sells for $29.99. If the shipping cost is $9, the sales tax is another $2.73. Your total's $41.72. That $41.72, they charge you 12.9% on, and they charge you 30 cents. They're going to take $5.68 out of that sale. Why is that important to know? That's important to know because if you use the video before this, it talks about how to value your product, how much your stuff is worth. If you're like, hey, I'm going to sell my item because it sells for $30, and you're expecting your payout to be $30, and you get sticker shock that you only got 21, you're like, well, but it says it sold for 30. Understand how your fee structure works. eBay's international works very similar. Now, they don't charge sales tax, but they charge an international fee. So, you still pay fees no matter what. As a small-time reseller, these fees can add up very quickly and could cut into your profit margins significantly. So take that into account. If you are starting a small business or you are a small business, you can write all these fees off as tax deductions. So for me, eBay can raise their fees as 100%. If people are still buying my product at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter to me because whatever profit I made at the end of the year, eBay's fees are coming out of that. I'm not going to pay as much taxes. I'm okay with it. The next competitor to eBay is going to be Mercari. Now, Mercari is seen by a lot of resellers as the cheaper alternative, and it doesn't have a lot of eBay's political, but it also doesn't have a lot of eBay's protections. So, as a benefit to Mercari, typically on Mercari, you are going to have a much more tight-knit buyer group. Your buyers are going to be primarily in the U.S. I believe it's a U.S.-based only selling platform. You don't have to worry about international. You don't have to worry about certain communication issues. At the same token, and they do offer a very straightforward point-to-point. You put your item on Mercari, they're going to hand you your fees. If it sells, they're going to, they've already got the label done for you if that's what you choose to do. And it's all said and done. Boom, 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 handled, and you get paid after the buyer accepts the package. Okay, so that sounds really cool, right? Less fees, point and click, it's a super easy interface. That's why they're getting a lot of eBay's competition. The problem is they don't have eBay's protection. They don't have seller protection. They monitor and block 90% of the communication between you and the buyer. For instance, I had a problem with one of my sales not too long ago. I bought a really cheap aftermarket label printer. It reprinted 2 of the exact same label. So I had like 3 shipments going out, print a label, stick it on the first box. It was a $20 Funko. Print the next label. It was for a $250 San Diego Comic-Con set. Took him to the post office. It was a busy day. I get a message from the buyer saying, this isn't what I ordered. You sent me a San Diego Comic-Con 4-pack. I almost threw up. The guy that got it luckily lived in the same state as the guy that bought the $20 pop, and he was also really, really cool and was very nice to work with me to get a new label printed. So I paid for the label. He shipped it for me to the right person that was going to get it. I replaced his Funko that he actually ordered because that one got lost in the mail somewhere. And, it all worked out in the end, but it was a nightmare to communicate because every time I was like, hey, yo, you weren't supposed to get that box. Let me give you my phone number. Mercari deleted the message. You can't share your phone number. Hey, send me an email so we can talk. They deleted my message. Mercari also does, when they handle the shipping, they actually give the buyer the absolute lowest shipping cost. And that's going to be explained in another video. As a seller, that's bad because you don't control your shipping if you use their one-click method, and that can cut into your profits. So Mercari's fees, let's talk about that. Mercari upfront is only 8% seller fees. So whatever your item sells for, plus shipping, plus sales tax, they only take 8% compared to eBay's 12.9%. However, Mercari charges 2.9% plus 30 cents on the actual money transaction because they're using essentially a credit card processing company. So their 8% really just went to 10.9%, and you don't get, I would say, not even 10% of the protection that eBay offers you. Now, again, Mercari is really good because it is US based. It is straight seller kind of point to point. But for what you're paying in actual total fees and the way some of the features are handled, you're not actually saving a lot of money. And a lot of sellers will mark their items down cheaper than eBay because they think, well, it's an easier process, there's less hassle, less oversight, and they're getting a better sales commission cost. But when you start taking into account the actual credit card processing fees that they charge you, you're actually losing out. But they're still the second biggest marketplace. You can find great deals as a buyer. It does open you to new avenues as a seller. So I'm not saying don't use them. I'm just saying you're not going to have you're not as getting a great of a deal as you think you are. Now, the next and the newest kid on the block is What's Not. Now, What's Not is a live auction selling platform. As a seller that is very energetic, that loves to communicate, talk with their buyers, it is a really cool platform to interact with your buyers live. The auctions are right then, right there. And if you're a really good salesperson, or you can talk your product up and you got a lot of people, you can really, really move some high-end or even oversell products just based on your interaction with your customers. Because again, they get to see you, they see you're excited, you're talking about how good the product is, how cool it is. I mean, look, I spent $56 on a signed Mallrats companion guide by Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes because it was on a live auction. That particular guide probably only sells for $10-15 plus getting their autograph at Comic-Con. But it was live with Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes, Jay and Silent Bob. It was hype, and I was buying it, right? So if you have great energy, What's Not is the really good platform for you to be selling. However, it has some of the biggest drawbacks of all platforms.